There's a moment, so small it's almost invisible, where everything can change. It happens between the inhale and the exhale, that silent pause most people never notice. But in that pause, in that sliver of stillness, is where reality begins to shift. We've been taught that creating a new life takes time, effort, strategy. But the ancients knew something different. That breath isn't just a function of the body. It's the language of the soul. A cosmic interface that lets you step out of old patterns and breathe new timelines into existence. This isn't about tricks or wishful thinking. It's about reclaiming something primal and powerful, the breath as a force of manifestation. Right now, your reality is responding to the rhythm of your nervous system, the tone of your breath, the frequency of your awareness. Change that rhythm, and the world around you has to respond. Most people think of breath as just a biological process, a necessity for survival. But in ancient esoteric systems, breath was seen as the original bridge between dimensions. Every inhale draws energy from the unseen, and every exhale imprints that energy into form. Breath is the silent traveler between the physical and the quantum, the known and the unknown. It is not just air, it's coded frequency, a carrier wave of consciousness that links the inner self with the outer reality. When one breathes with awareness, the veil begins to thin. Conscious breathing doesn't just calm the nervous system, it opens the door to realms beyond linear perception. It tunes the brain into alpha and theta states, gateway brainwaves where imagination becomes reality. In these states, the body relaxes, the mind softens, and the energetic field becomes pliable. This is where manifestation becomes instantaneous, because the breath has pulled you into the place between worlds, where reality is still fluid. Think of breath as a ritual act, a sacred movement that aligns your intention with the fabric of the universe. You're not breathing in oxygen, you're breathing in potential. You're not just exhaling carbon dioxide, you're exhaling coded instructions to the field of reality. The ancients knew this. Mystery schools taught it in whispers. Shamans used it to walk between the worlds. Now, in a time of awakening, this knowledge is returning. The breath is not a tool, it is a doorway. There's a subtle moment most people never notice, the pause. That still, sacred silence that exists between the inhale and the exhale. It's the liminal space, the zero-point field, the hidden temple of pure potential. In ancient spiritual traditions, this pause was not an absence. It was a presence, a place outside of time, where nothing yet everything exists. It is the canvas on which manifestation is painted. In quantum terms, this space is like the wave before it collapses into the particle. Infinite possibilities waiting to be observed, chosen, breathed into life. It's not just spiritual poetry. Neuroscience shows that in this gap, the brain's default mode network quiets down, the ego loosens its grip, the subconscious becomes accessible. And in that soft openness, the energy of intention can imprint reality with far greater clarity. To manifest instantly, one must become intimate with this pause, not rush it, not fill it, but dwell in it. In that moment between breath, you are neither past nor future. You are not bound to identity. You are the observer, the architect, the pure awareness from which all realities emerge. Sit in the stillness, breathe with reverence. Because the pause isn't empty, it's pregnant with creation. Long before science caught up, the sages of old were already breathing reality into form. In yogic systems, pranayama wasn't just for calming the mind, it was a divine technology to awaken latent power and reshape experience. Prana means life force, and yama means control. Through breath, one could command the invisible currents of existence, aligning internal vibration with external manifestation. In Hermetic teachings, breath was seen as the animating force, the sacred wind that moves between realms. Initiates were taught to breathe rhythmically to tune their bodies like instruments. The breath became a tuning fork to the harmonics of the cosmos. In ancient Egypt, the act of intentional breathing was paired with visualization, mantra, and stillness to call forth new realities. They believed the spoken word, carried on breath, was the true act of creation, the original spell. Even indigenous traditions recognized breath as sacred. Shamans used breath combined with chant to journey into spirit worlds, retrieve lost power, or realign timelines. Across cultures, the message was consistent. The breath is not a function, it's a force, a cosmic instrument given to humans to remember they are not just observers of life, but creators of it. These traditions weren't primitive, they were precise. They knew what modern seekers are just beginning to remember. Reality bends where breath begins. Science is finally catching up to what mystics have always known, that the state of your brain determines the shape of your reality. But what controls those states? The answer, surprisingly and elegantly, is breath. Each breath pattern, its rhythm, depth, and speed modulates your brainwave activity, like a dial tuning into different dimensions of consciousness. And within these altered states lies the gateway to instant manifestation. When breath is shallow and rapid, the brain locks into high beta, a survival frequency. In that mode, the mind clings to the known, focuses on fear, and repeats old patterns. But slow the breath, elongate the exhale, and something profound happens. The brain drops into alpha, then theta. These are the bridge frequencies, the same states accessed during hypnosis, deep meditation, and vivid dreaming. They are not just restful, they are fertile. They make the subconscious pliable and the quantum field responsive. Dr. Joe Dispenza has shown that in these states, intention carries far more power. The breath acts like a signal amplifier, boosting the coherence between thought and feeling, the two forces that shape reality. So breath isn't just calming you, it's preparing the stage for manifestation to unfold. It's softening the grip of the known to allow the unknown to emerge. With each breath, you're not just relaxing, you're reprogramming the mind-reality interface. The mind may conceive reality, but it is the heart that magnetizes it into form. When the brain and heart are in sync, a state known as coherence, something extraordinary happens. Your entire energetic field becomes a beacon for manifestation. And breath is the key that unlocks this harmony. Not through force, but through rhythm, a sacred conscious breathing that brings the intellect and the intuitive into divine alignment. Greg Braden and the HeartMath Institute have shown that a coherent heart field is not just a spiritual idea, it's measurable, electromagnetic, and powerful. When the breath is slow, balanced, and paired with elevated emotions like gratitude or love, the heart begins to send harmonious signals to the brain. The mind relaxes, the body opens, and the subconscious becomes receptive. In this state, your intentions are no longer static thoughts, they become magnetic commands to the universe. This is where real-time manifestation begins, not through desperate effort, but through energetic congruence. When your breath, your brain, and your heart are resonating together, you're no longer broadcasting mixed signals. You're a coherent frequency tuning fork, drawing in realities that match your vibration. This isn't metaphor, it's mechanics, the kind our ancestors mastered, and our science is just beginning to map. Manifestation isn't about getting, it's about aligning, and the breath is the frequency tuner. We often think of breath as air, but what we're truly inhaling is prana, the universal life force, the subtle energy that animates all matter. In every culture that grasped the unseen world, from Vedic India to Taoist China, breath was known not just as fuel for the body, but as a medium for energetic intention. When you breathe with focused awareness, you're not just moving air, you're shaping the field around you. This field, your pranic aura, is malleable. It's a luminous extension of your subconscious, responding instantly to your beliefs, emotions, and breath. Each breath becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of this field, imprinting desire, clarity, or chaos, depending on your inner state. That's why frantic manifestation techniques fail. The energy is incoherent, but breath, when aligned with intention and presence, brings coherence to the field, allowing your frequency to broadcast cleanly into the quantum. Neville Goddard taught that feeling is the secret, but what generates feeling? Breath. When you breathe with belief, as if what you desire is already real, the field absorbs that imprint. Your body begins to act as if your mind begins to align, and the universe, it listens, because the field, the breath, the intention, they are not separate forces. They are one continuum, a feedback loop between inner and outer, self and cosmos. To breathe consciously is to program the universe. In quantum physics, the observer effect reveals something extraordinary, that particles exist in a state of probability until they are observed. It's consciousness that collapses the wave into matter. But here's the hidden layer. The quality of that observation matters. A distracted, chaotic mind scatters the field. A focused, present awareness shapes it with precision. And breath is what anchors awareness into the now, the only place creation actually occurs. With every intentional breath, you shift from unconscious observer to conscious architect. You're no longer reacting to reality, you're directing it. The breath quiets the noise, centers the mind, and sharpens the gaze. And in that clarity, your intention takes form. You're not just watching, you're choosing. You're imprinting the quantum field with meaning, backed by energy, fused with vibration. That's not philosophy, that's how matter responds to mind. Bruce Lipton calls it the biology of belief, and breath is the bridge that carries that belief from thought into frequency. When you breathe with the intention to observe possibility as truth, you're not just imagining, you're commanding. You're collapsing timelines, you're selecting realities, and more than that, you're becoming the kind of observer the universe responds to, one who breathes with power, watches with purpose, and manifests with presence. Breath is not just a practice, it's a ritual, a sacred act that tunes the soul like a stringed instrument. When used intentionally, breath can shift your vibration faster than thought or action. Why? Because vibration isn't an idea, it's a physiological state. And the fastest way to shift physiology is through breath. Not complicated routines, not hours of meditation, just presence, rhythm, and reverence. One of the most powerful techniques is box breathing. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold again for 4. This creates symmetry, a balanced geometric rhythm that harmonizes the nervous system and centers the mind. Another is circular breath, used in shamanic traditions, where the inhale flows directly into the exhale with no pause, building a wave of energy that floods the body with light. And perhaps the simplest of all, the deep, coherent heart breath. Inhale into the heart, exhale through the heart, while holding a feeling of gratitude or joy. These rituals don't take hours, they take presence. A single minute of conscious breathing can do what a day of struggle cannot. Shift your frequency and place you in alignment with the field of instant manifestation. Because once your energy matches the vibration of what you desire, reality no longer resists, it reflects, and the breath becomes your tuning device, your reset button, your quantum key. This knowledge, that breath is the gateway to manifestation, is not new. It is ancient, sacred, and intentionally buried beneath layers of modern distraction. In our fast-paced world, breath has become shallow, background noise. But for the mystics, shamans, and sages, breath was never background. It was the foreground of creation, a living practice, a daily ritual, a sacred act of shaping reality from within. Why was it forgotten? Because empowered breath leads to empowered beings, people who no longer seek permission, who don't need systems to define reality for them. When you remember that every inhale is a portal and every exhale is a command, you stop being a passive participant and become an active creator. This is not just spiritual empowerment, it's vibrational sovereignty. And those who hold power have always feared that awakening. But now, this forgotten art is rising again. People across the globe are remembering, they're feeling the shift. They're using breath to bypass limitation, heal trauma, and bend reality. And you're not here by accident. If you're listening, it's because your soul remembers. The art was never lost. It lived inside you all along, waiting for your awareness to meet your breath and ignite your reality. You've been breathing your whole life, but now you breathe with power. The pause between breaths is no longer empty. It's full of possibility. You now carry the knowing that reality doesn't shift with struggle. It shifts with alignment, with presence, with the conscious inhale of belief and the sacred exhale of command. You are not here to wait for your life to change. You are the change. You are the architect of the field. And the breath, that gentle, unseen force, is your wand, your compass, your transmission to the universe. So breathe with reverence, breathe with certainty, and let your next breath be the one that parts the veil. If this awakens something in you, honor the activation like this video. Subscribe to the Cosmic Awakening channel and share this with someone ready to remember their power.